Learning by doing is a common quote in business today. To learn something is one thing, to reduce the cost of making something is another. Welcome back to Industrial Economics. In this video, we will study the concept of learning curve. Example 2.3 discusses a recent study of learning in medicine. Learning curves are usually estimated for cost, and the cost production usually falls. In medicine, learning can literally be a matter of life and death. High-volume providers seem to obtain better outcomes for their patients. If learning by doing is presented, limits of specialists leads relatively less physicians. Having more patients is needed. If volume improve outcome is correct, that more physicians for a given specialist worse the outcome. Before testing this hypothesis, we need to figure out the causality problem. It is possible that high-skilled physician attracts more patients, but not a physician with more patients makes her good skill. In econometrics, we use instrumental variables to solve this problem. An instrumental variable, IV, is a random variable that correlates with the independent variable but not the dependent variable. That is, find a variable that correlates with the number of patients a physician has but not correlate with her skill. A good IV is the number of patients induced by the retirement of older physicians. It is randomly distributed among other physicians. With this IV, the economists find the evidence of learning by doing in medicine training. So, compare with economies of scale, which is the reduction of cost while the output increase. The learning curve, sometimes called experience curve, defined as the cost reduction when the accumulation of output increased. We show a typical learning curve as figure 2.7. We measure the magnitude of learning benefit as slope. Suppose that a firm have cumulative output of Qx with average cost of production of AC1. Suppose next that the firm's cumulative output doubles to 2Qx with average cost of AC2. Then the slope equals AC2 divided by AC1. Researchers in learning curve have estimated the slope of a median firm is about 0.8. That is, for the typical firm, doubling cumulated output reduces unit cost by about 20%. With the effect of learning curve, they may want to ramp up production well past the point where the additional revenue offsets the additional cost. That is, the firm wants to accumulate the output quickly to reach the low part of learning curve. Although it seems the firm violates the rule that firm produces at the output level of marginal revenue equal marginal cost. It is reasonable that for some emerging or extra orders, a lower part of learning curve also means a lower part of marginal curve. Let's see an example. Suppose a manufacturer of DRAM chips has cumulated production of 10,000 chips. The cost to manufacture one additional chip is $2.5. The firm believes that once it has produced 100,000 chips, its unit cost will fall to $2, with no further learning benefit. The company has ordered to produce an additional 200,000 chips when it unexpectedly received a request to produce 10,000 chips to be filled immediately. Given the current unit cost of $2.5 per chip, it might seem that the firm would be unwilling to accept anything less than $2.5 per chips for this order. This might be a mistake. as the true marginal cost is less than the current unit cost. Under the output of 200,000 chips, the first 100,000 chips would cost $2.5 per chip, and the remaining 100,000 chips would cost $2 per chip. The total cost of this plan is $450,000. With the unexpected order, the plan can save $5,000 by the reduction of unit cost, which is $2.5 for the first 90,000 chips and $2 for the remaining 110,000 chips. At the time the manager to decide whether to accept this order, the marginal cost becomes $2.5 per chip minus the saving $0.5 per chip, which is $2 per chip. So, as long as the price higher than $2, the manager should take the order. In fact, with this learning curve, this firm can propose a competitive price between $2.5 and $2. An implication on corporate governance is that if the manager's incentive leads him to focus on the short-run profit, the strategies to induce effect of learning curve will probably not be adapted. As firms take steps to explore the learning, some policies may obstacle. For example, the Union of Lockheed, an airframe maker, requires the firm promote experienced worker to manager and replace him by lower skilled ones. This makes a loss of 40 to 50% of annual revenue of Lockheed. On the other hand, reducing the turnover rate to retain learning benefits may decrease the incentive of workers and deter the innovation. Also, the coding of learned knowledge is very difficult, which makes the trade-off between incentives and innovation to the benefit of learning. Economies of learning differ from economies of scale. One is measured in cumulative output, the other is output in a given period of time. Thus, a firm with economies of learning may not exhibit the economies of scale. Let's see figure 2.8. Suppose a firm has constant return to scale, where the average cost is constant for a given scale. The firm may exhibit learning as the left graph. When the cumulated output is lower than Q1, the average cost per year is AC1. When the cumulated output is higher than Q2, the average cost per year is AC2. Managers should take care to distinguish the economies of scale and economies of learning. For example, if a large firm has lower unit cost because of economies of scale, then any cutbacks in production volume will raise unit cost. If the lower unit costs are the result of learning, the firm may be able to cut current volume without necessary. These are all discussions about the learning curve. Thanks for watching. See you next video.